So for number one, make sure we're kind of starting to look at so far as Millie's reaction. If we were going to kind of sum it up in one word, probably nonsense would be something to kind of go with. It's nonsense that people would want to take a look at this because there's not anything that you're looking at. You're not actually going to see anything. I don't know if I'd go with the hallucinating.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, what?
Well, you know, like some people get like so into books that they sort of like disassociate.
Sure. Yeah, you can lose yourself in it. Yeah. Millie, not one of those people, because Millie's solely going to be looking for something that's going to be having the that kind of visual aspect to it. And keep in mind, when it comes to Millie and TV, what's the word that she really uses to kind of describe her TV and her shows? Family. And so this is not going to be her family. This isn't going to be something that is going to be real. And certainly Millie's argument would kind of go along those lines that, hey, you know, this there's nothing real to it. There's nothing tangible to it, because if I can see a screen, if I can see an image, I can see someone that's going to be, you know, real purposeful that's kind of going on. When they talk about the books, and you know, Montauk's kind of trying to get the argument that okay, these are things that we need to take a look at, where he's reading things that are dealing kind of like with friendship and different types of relationships. He makes the comment, and he says this at the top of 68. Is that what it was in the girl next door? I've tried so hard to figure. Girl next door, he's talking about Clarice. Anyone recall, and this is kind of like an unfair question because not that you have the book memorized, anyone recall what Millie's initial reaction is once he mentions Clarice? She says two words. She's dead. So because she is deceased at that point, you got photographic memory. Because she's deceased at that point, she's dead. Let's talk about someone alive, for goodness sakes, when it kind of gets into their subjects and whatnot with the book. There's a little bit of irony, though, that's going to be happening when it comes to, you know, her reaction that she says about Clarice, who we assume would like books, says that she's dead. What's going to be the irony with the fact that Millie is the one who is saying this? And so, yeah, it's not going to be that physical death that is there, but certainly that irony is going to be there that for the most part, Millie is dead too, at least when it comes to the overall insides, when it comes to the overall relationship that they have. I mean, pretty much so far as a successful marriage, a happy marriage being there, pretty much doesn't seem that that's, you know, going to be in existence at any point. They start taking a look at different kind of book titles and whatnot. He opened another book. That favorite subject, myself. He squinted at the wall. The favorite subject, myself. Mildred's response, I understand that one. So when it comes across to something that is going to be a little bit more, you know, about her, that's going to deal with herself, that's one that she's ultimately going to get more interested in, as opposed to kind of reading books about thoughts of other people and whatnot. So as they're going through all these books and whatnot, you know, Montauk's trying to kind of find deeper meaning with it. Millie's going to be looking for things that are going to be a little bit more self-centered, that is going to be kind of focused on her, you know, her own kind of life. If it doesn't pertain to Millie, then she is one that is not going to be interested in it overall. What book does Montauk ultimately find? What's the big book that he ultimately finds? Finds the Bible. On page 72, take a look at page 72. 72. If you don't have a book with you today, make sure you have the book. We're going to be using it for some passages and whatnot. About halfway down, Montauk showed her a book. This is the Old Testament and New Testament, and don't start that again. It might be the last copy in this part We don't really know where we're at. We assume we're somewhere in the United States. You got to hand it back tonight, don't you? Captain Beatty knows you got it, doesn't he? I don't think he knows which book I stole, but how do I choose a substitute? Do I turn in Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Thoreau, which is least valuable? Do I pick a substitute and Beatty does know which book I stole? He'll guess we'll have an entire library here. Mildred's mouth twitched. See what you're doing? You'll ruin us. Who's more important, me or that Bible? She was beginning to shriek now, sitting there like a wax doll melting in its own heat. Who's more important, me or that Bible? Not question up here on the board, but what would be an answer, do you think, for that one? And I'm not getting into like religious, conversations and things of that nature, but take something like the Bible or something that would at least be a sacred, significant text. Which is more important? Having book that has spiritual, religious, maybe philosophical meaning, and you could substitute whatever you want for Bible, like most important book in the world for you, versus another living, breathing human being. What about for you, though? Like, I would agree, Montauk seems to choose the book over Millie. But like, would you, if we were to, this turns into like an essay question. Choose a side. Is Montauk right that some books are more important than actual people that you know, someone who would be close to you? If you could save a person or, last text of whatever book you want to think about, Bible or something else, what do you choose?
Probably the Bible.
I know the question.
Any idea why?
Meaning like, it's me like a boss there.
Well, here, hold on. Let's, Katie, we'll come over to you.
Because the Bible is there for longer, like all the people that they don't person.
So more meaning or significance? Over a person that you know?
They highly vote for that.
Okay. Gia? Talking to me?
No, no. Like, if you're gonna make, not you, but someone's gonna make me choose
Yes,
if they're going to make me choose them over a book, but like in this situation, your house gets burned down and you find it, like you go to jail, everyone is like hates you, like you're a criminal now.
I mean, in this specific situation, it could be the end all be all of what we would say family with Millie and Montauk, and there's no going back. Well, and that if the house, well, from the outside, like they would be able to come and start. If she loses the TVs in the house, she's going to be ticked off. I mean, there's no, and it could be replaceable, but she's always someone who's going to want more. But, and Katie, I guess this is where we'll kind of come over to you for it. Would you say that, okay, actual physical human person in the flesh versus last known copy of some kind of idea concept?
Don't get me wrong. Any possible human life is valuable. Everyone's valuable. Everyone's special. Okay, but people are replaceable. You know what I mean? Like some people are replaceable, and a Bible, like that Bible, if it's the last thing on the side of like the planet, and it's just one Bible over one person, I get it. But that, like maybe the human wants to sacrifice himself or herself for it. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just really depends, like honestly, but Bible over anyone every day. That's my personal belief.
is something that you can't really argue because of how
That's right.
cripplingly context sensitive it is.
Right.
Because say it's in like if we take this context into literal and we make it so it's a perfect match for the book, or like in the book, you know what I mean. I have a feeling that if it was between the Bible, really any sacred text for that matter, and Millie or a person like Millie, you're essentially choosing an ancient text that has, whether you want to believe it or not, has changed the world for a lot. Or, again, if you're talking to someone like Millie, someone who is just not, I guess, not worth it, or they hinder more than anything.
But take it outside of that context.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Kane, you got your daughter, or you have a Bible.
Yeah, well, and again, you can put that in another thing where it's like a saw trap. You can either choose to, incinerate like the Old Testament or just this random person. Again, who do you choose? Because again, it's skewed on your personal merits.
And you brought up the point, and keep in mind, I'll go Zach and then Katie come over to you. It's not really a debatable issue because, yeah, we're not going to have a circumstance that's going to like this, which is part of the reason why we do end up kind of debating it a little bit because you get some of that idea.
I feel it's kind of like what the society is at a state, like in terms of the Fed, like physical society, it's like, so I think if you are one of the people that have the books, you rather take a book over the human, but I feel like Millie and like most of the society would say, you don't have like know what books are, you probably pick the human over the book. So like if it's like as of like right now in like America, you would also take the human over the book any day.
Okay.
I believe it really maybe to flip the tables. What if the human was down, was sacrificing himself for the Bible? What if the human was perfectly okay, like, all right, you know what, I'm just gonna die, so the Bible can be around still.
Well, I think the example of that would be in part one where we have the old woman with the match, where she's if I'm going to live in a world where this isn't going to be allowed, I don't want. She kind of takes on that martyr role. I think she would be one. I don't want to say that she would definitely do it, but yeah. There have certainly been people who have sacrificed themselves for ideals before. I can't think of a person off the top of my head where this person has sacrificed him or herself for a specific book. But certainly for the ideas, the content, the merits, the ideologies, the philosophies, the government beliefs that would be like within those books, within those documents, yeah, people have certainly sacrificed themselves for that over hundreds and thousands of years. Really what it kind of I think boils down to so far as a question is which is going to be kind of more important? Are you willing to have are some ideas ultimately greater than people? Are some things more important than people? Are some thoughts or some ideas or some philosophies more important? And if it is the last chance of one of these things potentially being saved, guy's going to go, yeah. And I think, again, I mentioned this, I think it was last week, really what it boils down to so far as a book is it's a book about ideas, and it's about following something that you ultimately believe in. Might not always necessarily be book, in the way that it is here with Guy, but it's pretty much about following along with what you truly ultimately believe in. And that's something that he's going to be willing to kind of go through with. The flip side, I guess, could be if this is the last copy and it doesn't really mean anything to people anymore, what are you sacrificing a person for in order to preserve ideas and thoughts that people aren't widely believing? What's that end result going to be? That's something that we don't kind of necessarily know. Right after this is when he gets onto the subway. Mentioned to you, I told you what dentifrice would mean. Anyone remember? What's dentifrice? Toothpaste. Okay? So as he's sitting in the subway, all that we have is this commercial, basically for toothpaste, is in the background while he's on the subway. What does he have with him book-wise on the subway?
He has a book on
Which book?
in general.
He has the Bible, with him. So he has this kind of copy of the Bible. On 7476, since this is potentially the last copy, what is he trying to do with what is in the Bible? And you have moments like this right before fifth period reading check quiz. I am going to read through this book as quickly as I can, and everything is going to magically seep into my brain. And I am going to know questions 1 through 10 or whatever is going on. Some of you, maybe not last night, some of you at some point have probably taken a book, put it under your pillow, go to bed, and the knowledge will magically transfer from the pages into my brain, so I'll do well on that.
Speak for yourself.
You haven't tried that one?
No, because I'm not stupid.
Hey, it's worth a shot sometimes if it comes.
Well, I have tried it once.
Okay.
That's great.
There we go.
Again,
Just-
you have.
I'd be
Is your camera work done with these? With this like section that's kind of
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Montauk, what's he trying to do? Memorize. He's trying to memorize the Bible. What's happening for him in the background? Non-stop, like advertisement jingle. Jason, you got this? Good. Number 2. Why now Civ and Sand start to make sense? Or chapter time. And you know what Civ is, being that little sifter thing. Was that last? What was the last part? Okay. And yeah, we're pretty much kind of going on the same wavelength. Tyler, did you have a hand up? No. Okay. What do you do with your Civ as you're a little kid? And you said that I'm not stupid, but as a little kid sometimes we are stupid. I'm going to try to continue to fill this thing up. I'm going to fill up the bucket that is the Civ that has the holes. But what generally starts to happen is no matter how quickly you fill it up, you're always going to constantly have sand that kind of starts to go through.
No matter how. He's trying
If-
to memorize the jingle.
Well, he doesn't want to memorize the jingle, but it's trying not to. But yeah, basically what would be going on is you have Montauk kind of being this sieve, and we're going to kind of, picture a bucket with really holes on the bottom. So as you have that sand kind of coming through, you're trying to put more and more and more content into it. You're trying to fill up that bucket. Ultimately, you kind of still have this little shower of sand that's kind of taking place. So can he remember everything about the Bible, everything that he's reading? Absolutely not. So this is where you kind of have that analogy that would be taking place. What's the sand? The words, the Bible, the thoughts, whatever. What's the sieve? Him. Because there's only so much that he's going to be able to put in there that's going to stay. What happens? Inevitably, it's going to continue to kind of fall through the cracks a little bit. One thing that Bradbury does pretty significantly throughout the course of the book is with his chapters, he certainly does have meaning going on here. The first chapter was the hearth and the salamander. Hearth, fireplace, warm, cozy, that kind of thing. Salamander? Lizard.
Lizards believed to be born from fire.
And that they are immune to fire. So, like when it comes to the symbols that are on the firefighters, they have Fahrenheit 451. They have a salamander too. They refer to the truck sometimes as like the salamander, where it is this being that is born in fire that is going to kind of grow in fire. So you have the warm coziness idea going on versus like this lizard, this being in the first chapter. Now we have this sieve and sand, where the sieve is essentially going to be his brain, the sand is going to be the books, the knowledge, the stuff that he is trying to remember, and you just can't keep up with it. And keep in mind, what's one of the reasons why he probably has a hard time remembering what he reads?
Because he's memorized.
Nobody reads anymore. So it's not something that your brain is kind of trained to do. It's something that is more foreign to it. It's a concept that we're not going to be used to. And if we're not used to being able to sit down and focus and read something and take in whatever kind of information, then there's a good chance that it could kind of ultimately fall through the cracks. Who's Faber? Faber. F-A-B-E-R. Who's our Faber?
Old guy.
The old guy. That Montauk has met before, met him in a park before, and then he kind of has like a secret file. Faber historically is a publisher. So you have this old English professor alluded to a name where you would publish books, would be kind of associated with books. He being Fahrenheit, or he being Bradbury, purposely doing it. But he says when it comes to books, there's pretty much three things. Or when it comes to life, there's three things that you need to have. And your quiz was kind of dealing with some of this stuff as well. What do we have to have when it comes to books? Page 79. Number one, do you know why books such as this are so important, this being the Bible? Because they have quality. And what does the word quality mean? To me, it means texture. The book has pores. So, number one, things that are necessary. You need to have books that are quality, that have texture. And to him, he says that means you have pores. It has features. This book can go under the microscope. You'll find life under the glass, streaming past in infinite profusion. The more pores, the more truthfully recorded details of life per square inch you can get on a sheet of paper, the more literary you are. That's my definition anyway. Telling detail, fresh detail. The good writers touch life often. The mediocre ones run a quick hand. So what is going to make a book important? That it has quality, that it has texture, that it has pores, that it is really going to ultimately have meaning. As an example, does the Bible have meaning to people?
Yes.
Sure.
Very much so.
And it can vary from person to person.
Yes.
One person could take something from the Bible, literary, story-wise. Someone else is going to take a look at it as being a pathway to life or whatnot, but there is going to be meaning. Keep the sheet out, because we're still going to write down some things. What else do you need if you are going to have a successful life? You have to have books that have quality within Faber's argument. What do you need? Why don't people like books maybe as much in this world or even in today's world? So what do you need to use with your brain? You need pick up with that one tomorrow. So part 3, Monday of next week.